lovers and pepperheads, it's Jared from Motherboard Genetics, back again with yet another pepper review. This week is interesting. I have a pepper that I made, like most of them or all of them, but that I made without really thinking of what the cross was going to result in. I named it purely because I found seeds that had a certain name that fit really, really well with a pepper that I had that already had a name. Now, let me explain what I mean by this. This, which I've already de-seeded, but I'll throw up some pictures when I'm describing it, is what I'm thinking about calling the Gotham pepper. Now, it's not because it's dark or gritty or anything like that, but it's purely because I had already had, let me look up the cross, but it's called the Bane strain because it was bred by a person I believe named Kevin Bane. Got the seeds off of Pepper Joe's, and it was great. And let me just give you the genetics of what the Bane strain Peach, sorry. Gotta write it down. Sometimes these crosses get so long there's no way I can just remember off the top of my head. But it is a peach ghost, a white ghost, and a Butch T pepper. And for that strain, the Bane strain Peach, I'll throw up a picture right now from the website of what that looks like. So, you know, I thought that was clever. It's named after the guy that made it or bred it. But I was on Etsy just looking at seeds because that's where a lot of people sell their own crosses and get started. And I saw this one that I'll put up on the screen called the Batman Tangerine pepper. Well, it's, according to the description, an unknown cross, but it looked pretty cool. I thought they might mesh pretty well. And of course, some of you probably already drew the connection. In my mind, I was like, ooh, Batman Tangerine, just get rid of the other stuff, but Batman, Bane, the character, it's a no-brainer. So figured call it Gotham, something cheesy like that. But what came out was one of the most interesting peppers I've ever grown. It resembles a lot, if I just had to go back and make it easy for you guys to visualize, it resembles a lot the Scarlet Rose that I have a review of up on my channel. That one was by Kangstar. It's got a lot of the same look, and obviously it resembles its parents. That's kind of the whole point, logically. But if I had to give a representation of what it looked like comparatively out of all of the reviews, it looks a lot like a Scarlet Rose from Kangstar. Now, the look of it, it's this bright orange, almost peachy color. Certain areas are a little bit lighter than others. Certain, like towards the tip, it kind of gets a little darker. I haven't found that it's super uniform in that way. It's just kind of mostly a solid color across all of the pods that I've seen. And it's just kind of a cool looking pepper. Now let's get on to the smell of it, because one is called Batman Tangerine, and growing that one out, it was very fruity, but in a different way than the Sugar Rush Peach, which is more nectarine peach flavor, as the name suggests. The Batman Tangerine was a lot more citrus. I mean, it's got tangerine in the name, but, you know, I have no other way of describing it. It really was like, not necessarily a tangerine, but just a generalized citrus smell with the obvious pepper, classic pepper smell. So when these crossed, this is my first time eating this one, and really smelling it, you know, you can smell the outside of the pod, but until you crack it open, you really don't get a full representation of how it smells. So when I was de-seeding it, I was smelling this, and there's a little bit of heat smell, if you know what I mean, where you can be like, oh, that's gonna be hot. But overall, kind of like I was saying in one of the other reviews, it's got a vegetal smell, just kind of like general vegetation in the background, but with a whole lot of sweet citrus, almost like you took a, those tiny little oranges, the cuties, the branded oranges. It smells like one of those. It's crazy. It like, if you just took the hint of pepper smell out of it, you would think that you were at a farmer's market in the fruit section, like the fruit stand. It's kind of wild. Because a habanero smells fruity, but it also has the pepper smell, and you can really tell that it's a pepper. Well, like my past reviews, other than I think 1 or 2, I'll be eating the whole pod. All I took off was literally like the top 1/5 of it, so that I could dig in, get the seeds out, preserved most of the pith while getting the seeds out, because that's where all the spice is. Like I've explained in another review, it's not in the seeds, it's in the pith. So you're just gonna have to take my word for it. I try to preserve as much of that as possible while I'm extracting the seeds in order to get the best representation of how spicy it is. So, talked about the genetics, the look, the smell. Really all that's left is flavor and heat level. So let's get right into it. Trying to keep these reviews not as lengthy. Debating on if I want to just pop the whole thing or I'm gonna do a half and half. So here goes nothing. If you're eating a pepper along with me, which I don't know why you would be, but if you are, cheers. And let's see if this sends me into another dimension, like the last pepper, the chocolate Starscream cross. Cheers. Whoa. Okay, there's a little heat, but not very much at all, to be honest. It's like strictly in the mouth. Always the throat on the first swallow, the first bite, but I can already tell this one's not going to be that bad. But wow, that flavor is crazy. It translates pretty perfectly from the smell to the flavor. It's a little bit of vegetal, flavor, just like general plant, but overwhelmingly smacks of not a peach, maybe like a nectarine. That's what it is. It's like a hybrid of a citrus and I don't know, would you consider a peach a citrus or a nectarine a citrus? I don't know. But it's like that mixture of a really sweet type of fruit, like a peach, and a little bit tart and citrusy, like a nectarine. So I think a nectarine would be perfect. Maybe I'll call it the Gotham nectarine or something. But wow, like the spice is already gone from my mouth. I do feel it kind of going down, but I don't think this is going to be a cramp causing pepper. So let's go in for the rest. That is so good. That is so weird, just like the Sugar Rush Peach. Just chew and swallow. Oh my god, I could just pop those in my mouth. That's so weird. It's got even less spice than the Sugar Rush Peach, which I feel like even my grandma, who does not do spice, could handle one of these in moderation, but wow. I could just sit and eat those constantly. They're like a little snack, and they're really healthy for you. Peppers in general are super healthy for you. High in vitamin C. The spice is good for your heart and stuff, but that is really good. That's surprising. Wow, that actually kind of caught me off guard, how fantastic that was. And there's like barely lingering spice in my mouth. Like literally, if you got the Diablo sauce or the hot sauce from Taco Bell, that's hotter than this is. So I think these would be great for most people. That's actually incredible. I'm really excited about this pepper. Now, the one thing that I would like to do, because I need to, before I try to sell the seeds, get the, not the germination rate, but the productivity level up. I don't know which parent, because they both were relatively productive. I would say that the Batman Tangerine was a little bit more productive of a plant than this one is, or than the Bane Peach. But they were both relatively productive. But then when this plant came out, I popped a bunch, like I usually do, of all the seeds to find the coolest one that comes out of the cross, and then also find the one that grows the best and produces and just checks all the boxes: flavor, look, productivity, resistance, all that kind of stuff. And all of them came out pretty consistent, which is crazy for a F1 or a first generation cross, which is where you take one plant, take another plant, cross it. It's the first generation of seeds that comes out of it. And then what you can do is, once you find one that you really like, or a couple that you really like, you just keep back crossing it to try and pull out all of the traits that you really like from that plant and stabilize it to where, 90% of the seeds come out the exact same way. Now this one, for an F1, a first generation, it was very consistent between plants. They looked the same relatively, the color was the same. I haven't tried all of the pods from every different plant, but I would imagine that the flavors don't differ too much. Maybe I'll do another video on it, but I do want to try. I'll do it during the winter because I like to move inside into tents and grow indoors. I'll try and stabilize it to bring out the productivity a little bit more. And then hopefully by the end of next season, I'll have stabilized seeds of this pepper. That's just one of the realities of breeding, is that nothing is quick. It's all, over generations. A lot of people are at the mercy of their very short season. Thankfully, I have a long season. So, feasibly, you can cross something in the beginning of the season where I am in Central California, have it produce a pod with seeds, and be able to pop those seeds of that new cross, and maybe even get it to start producing by the end of the season, and then overwinter it by bringing it inside into a grow tent or just inside the house. And that reduces the time a lot that it takes. You don't have to wait until the whole next season to try all of your new crosses, and it could take 2, 3, 4, 5 years before you have, from the idea and crossing the two plants to actually having a seed stock that is worth selling. So I think it's cool that I get that luxury of having a really long season. And then also being able to have the privilege of bringing it inside, grow it with living soil, like I do all of my other plants, inside under, LEDs. So yeah, long story short, I'm going to try and make sure that they, not everything's going to be as productive as a Sugar Rush Peach, but I do want to make sure that the production does go up a little bit. Sorry. Getting the burps from it. It's hitting the stomach. But I do want to make sure that the production is up a little bit, because they're very slow and they don't produce a whole lot. I feel like it would have produced even less, but I go to all my plants and tried to, I'll cross them and I'll take pollen from one and pollinate another, but if I just want to self-pollinate the plant with itself like they normally do naturally, you can go and tap on the flower or use an electric toothbrush, or there's a lot of methods of doing it to heighten the pollination rate, which effectively means that you'll get more peppers. And even doing that, it didn't produce a whole lot. So again, long story short, or short story long in this case, I just want to get the production up before these seeds will be available. If anyone wants to guinea pig or test them, reach out to me because I would love that. And that's about it for this review. The spice level, almost non-existent. Flavor is perfection. It is so good. I could just pop those all day. Looks pretty cool for a pepper. Nothing crazy, but looks pretty cool. The smell, exactly how it tastes. Very fruity with a little hint of vegetation in the background. And other than that, it's a great pepper, you know. Just like I said, got to get those that production rate up. But yeah, that was a review of what I'm tentatively calling the Gotham Nectarine. That was the Bane Peach crossed to the Batman Tangerine pepper. Like the video if you liked it, dislike it if you disliked it. Comment down below if you have any questions or comments. I love responding to them. I love engagement on my videos. Someone suggested actually in my last pepper review that instead of trying milk, especially because I'm lactose intolerant, that I should drink a Guinness. And I told him, you know, that in future reviews, not this review unfortunately, but in future reviews it would be a great excuse to chug a beer. You know, that Guinness minimizes the spice better than milk does. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Peace.